to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show. I am Brad. He is John Combest. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Brad.
It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. This is A Block, and how we start to show off every single week, every single day, I should say. We bring in this guy right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And the reason we bring him in is because he does, what do you do again, Casey?
We're on our way to the number one.
What we do is we count down the top 3 stories on John Combest's website. That's JOHNCOMBST, johncombest.com. The reason I mention that is because if you go there right now, how many stories do you think are up this morning, John?
Oh, I don't know. A couple dozen, no big deal. Maybe 3 dozen.
He's got a bunch of stories there, and they're all important stories, all stuff that you should know about going on in the state of Missouri, politically wise, all sorts of different things. News of, various events happening, new plants being opened out in Warren County, things like that. But especially on the beginning of the show, we bring you the top 3, and we start off with this guy telling us.
In third place,
Brad, a couple stories we'll start off with today are ones that are near and dear to your heart.
Uh-oh.
Your boomer heart, your quirky, eccentric heart, Brad. And the number 3 story today has to do with vanity license plates. Brad, you're a fan of vanity plates, right?
I am.
Even though they have a tendency to maybe get you pulled over once or twice or 3 times. Marta Mize from the Springfield News Leader, not to be confused with Johnny the Big Cat Mize of St. Louis Cardinals and New York Giants fame, lists some highlights of all the vanity plates that the state of Missouri rejected in 2024. Now, in total, the number of plates that were denied declined. In 2024, 379 vanity plate requests were denied. That's down from nearly 500 the year before. So, Brad, maybe people in Missouri aren't using their dirty little minds to try to trick the system. Now, Marta Mize points out that, many of these license plate requests she can't put in a family newsletter, but some of them you can. She cited a number of them that seemed to be in tribute to Haley Welsh. She's the Hawk Tua girl. Remember her, Brad?
Oh,
the crypto expert, Haley Welsh?
Really? They shot. Did you have some of the plates?
Yeah. So, most of them were variations of Hawk Tua. And, the state of Missouri seemed to look at it and seemed to say, okay, we know what this is in reference to, and we know that it's the type of thing that we're not going to condone. I'm scrolling through the list right here, Brad. Besides, the different ones that are Hawk Tua, the permutations include HWK 2A, HWK Tua, HWK Hoa. So, people being kind of clever, trying to do a Haley Welsh reference. And the other thing, I would just point out, too, that there's, I wouldn't show this list, let's say, to children, because there's various permutations, as you can imagine, of, genitalia references, references to see you next Tuesday. Then there were some that got rejected that I think, if you had a dirty mind, you would think were going in one direction but might be in another. Brad, kids these days use the phrase that someone ate to mean they did really well. So if you saw, let's say, Shelley Barr at a radio conference and she had a great afternoon talking to folks, you'd say, oh, Shelley ate today. That means that, she ate it up. And I think people that might be stuck in a Gen X mentality, let's say me, would think that the word ate would be some sort of nefarious, scandalous thing. But I guess the point is the state of Missouri rejected a license plate that was the letter O and then the word she and then ate, which to me just means that's kind of like a go girl thing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is sort of interesting because I don't know if they still do this, but the states would share this list. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because like almost like a best practices thing. Like, hey, they're trying to get GYAT in
Right,
Missouri.
right.
Be careful in Illinois. Yeah.
Right. One state would essentially say, here's the plates we rejected and the reason why. Now, the interesting thing is, as a purveyor of personalized plates, and I love them. As a matter of fact, I have a set that's I'm supposed to get my thing in the mail any day that I've got my plates, my next set of personalized plates. In the new application, you have to tell them what it is. So, I mean, what are these people saying? I mean, in other words, if your request has to say, what does this mean? And
yeah, then I guess they check the veracity or the credibility of what you're claiming it would be.
I guess people are. I mean, what the Hawk Tuah thing? What would you say? Hey, I saw this gal on the internet, and she talked about pleasing her man, and this is what she did. So that's why I want this plate. Now I
thought she was just doing an endorsement of your new ENT doctor, Brad, saying that you need to spit that feather out of your throat. I thought that's what she was saying.
That would be the legitimate explanation of why they wanted that plate, right? But yet,
yeah, I think so.
Nobody would put that down, right? Nobody would put that down. See,
so thanks to Marta Mai, she has this up today. If you're really interested in it, you can go to the news leader, click on it, and then she has the full spreadsheet. I thought it was funny because there's some Gen Alpha slang in there. Like, are you up on GYAT, Brad? GYAT?
No. What's that?
That means like a big old donk. Like, I'll use it in a sentence. Like, I didn't vote for Crystal Quaid, but she might be bringing her big old GYAT back to Jefferson City in 2027.
Okay. Well,
it's a sign of appreciation, Brad. It's like one of the other ones that was rejected was My Pog. You can't get a license plate for your woman that says My Pog.
Well, years ago, there was a couple, and I remember seeing this, and to the point where they actually they tried to get the plates, and I don't know if they were issued or not, but the guy was an executive for one of the liquor companies, and they had matching cars, him and his wife, and I believe they were like Corvettes. They were like sort of high roller kind of type. And they applied for two separate plates, his being cock, C-O-C-K, and hers being tail. So when the cars were parked next to each other, that's what he did. He made cocktails. But
that's cute.
Yeah, but obviously they shot that one down.
He could have said that he could have also said it was a rooster.
Right. But I told the story, John. You're going to go into his instant rebate or instant research mode. I guess it was 2 or 3 months ago how I went through all sorts of holy hell getting the plates for our AM station crap. I applied for, and I talked to like 2 or 3 people at DOR. They're calling me up, and they're going like, and the one thing was, the crazy part of this was that they were going to issue it if it was a ham radio license plate. But I go, no, it's not a ham radio license plate. It's a regular radio station. And I think I told you this, I finally had to send a copy of our FCC license down to them to go, okay, this is legit. I have this radio station. The call letters are crap, K-R-A-P. And they finally issued the plate. So now. And
you used the bureaucratic argument, didn't you, Brad? You said, look, if I can show you that another bureaucratic if another government office approved this, will you approve it? And the guy said, sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the deal. In other words, if the FCC approved it, if I got the call letters, and through the years, it's interesting. I have had people, sometimes people in the business call me and they go, okay, what are your real call letters? No, they're crap, K-R-A-P. No, the FCC wouldn't issue that. I have the call letters of crap. And I think I even told you that in the United States, like, for example, it's the ICAO or something like that. They have what they call the airport identifiers. And, for example, St. Louis is STL. And that's the FAA designation. But they have an international designation that they put a K in front of it because that's one of the call letters associated with the United States. We have K, we have W, we have N, and we have A as well, too. Those are all call letters, beginning call letters that are associated with the United States radio transmissions. And I think it's Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or someplace up to the north, when they put in their new airport, they got the designator of KRAP, which is I'll look it up again. It's someplace in the north. And the mayor was not happy. He essentially said, and the reason they gave it was because it's like Cedar Rapids, and a lot of times they try to have the FAA identifiers be somewhat telltale of the city. Obviously, STL. If you go to Las Vegas, it's LAS. If you fly into Midway, it's MDW. Some of them don't make any sense, but like Orlando was ORD. But Internationally, all those have a K in front of it, so there's that airport that has crap. So anyway, personalized license plates. See, here we go again. The government, this is one thing where I'll compliment the government. They don't do hardly anything, and they're making money on us. They're no,
true.
think about it. And what's interesting about this, do you know about the plates that you pay extra for above and beyond the personalization?
No, what's that?
There are the plates that if you, like for example, breast cancer awareness, that's an additional, I think that's an additional $35 or $40.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a status thing, right? Like, look at me, I care so much.
Well,
I'm getting one with a ribbon on it.
But the money goes to the matter of fact, there was a local organization used to handle that here in St. Louis, and the lady who ran all the stations for Evil Empire, iHeart, she was on the board, and you actually, the way that worked back in the day, you had to send them a check, which I did because I had breast cancer awareness plates. Now you're making fun of me, John. You don't realize I had breast cancer awareness
Well, yeah,
plates.
because you would do mobile examinations. Wasn't that your shtick for a while?
You had to send a check to a post office box out in someplace, Ellisville or something like that, and then they sent you back a receipt, and once you got that receipt, you sent that to the Department of Revenue. And so now it works that you just pay the money to the Department of Revenue, and they just send it to whatever organization's behind it. And I think they call it, what is it, not an annuity, what's the thing, affinity. It's like an affinity plate, that's what they call it.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
an affinity plate.
Okay.
We just got a text, by the way, about call letters, and it was from the grave. It was from Les Nessman and Johnny Fever. They say they still want to know how to get those plates, Brad.
WKRP. Okay, on to number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
I promised you I had 2 stories near and dear to your heart. We've satisfied one, and here's the other. Probably the best piece of news to come into Brad Hildebrand's life yesterday was that his favorite radio station that he supports with his taxpayer dollars, that's right, St. Louis Public Radio is on its way to being free. It's on its way to being emancipated from under the yoke, from under the subjugation of the University of Missouri in St. Louis. Brad, I almost wanted to not include this in the top 3 so that we could spend all of B Block talking about it, because I know you have feelings about this. In turn, for folks who haven't heard the story, both KCUR in Kansas City and KWMU in St. Louis are breaking free of their university ties to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and then also to UMSL here in St. Louis. And they're on the path now to become independent stations. And I guess, Brad, it'll take a few years for this to happen. I think they set up to maybe 3 years is what I read for these stations to finally be independent. What do you think? Can you tell us what you think, Brad, or do you want to save this for B Block?
I have a definite thoughts about this, and what I'm going to tell you may shock you, John, because of the fact that,
Really?
yeah, I will tell you that I am absolutely, positively against this.
No, are you serious?
As serious as heart attack, and I'll tell you why. Because I could make a call to Donald Trump. I could make a call to Elon Musk and tell him the story, and they would say, and because I'll give you my viewpoint in B Block, and they will say, Brad, you're 100% right, okay? And
I can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
Well, and John, this is all about finances. You're going to love this read on.
Oh, really? I think I disagree with you. I think it's, well, we can talk about it in B
Okay,
Block.
but-
I think it's great for St. Louis Public Radio to be out from underneath the University of Missouri system.
They don't. Not the University of Missouri system does nothing to them. They could play records backward. The University of Missouri system could care less. They don't care.
They couldn't care less.
Right, they couldn't care less. Okay, there's a couple interesting aspects of this. What about KBIA? Are they keeping KBIA? And what about KMST, which is the...
Oh, those are great questions, Brad. I don't know about that.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in B Block, because I'm going to... And once again, I'll say this. If Elon Musk was listening right now, if Donald Trump were listening, when I give my opinion, they will agree with me 10,000%. But we'll talk about that in B Block, okay? Okay, on to number 1.
The number 1.
The top story from johncombest.com today doesn't mention Missouri. That's strange. Usually I only link to stuff that mentions Missouri, but it's Missouri's lack of presence in the story that's noteworthy. That's right. The Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee. They're the group of Democrats nationwide that take a look at states and say, hey, we're going to do a little bit better in this state. We're probably going to do a little bit worse in this state. Hey, this group of states over here, They don't matter at all. Who cares about them? The Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee picked 10 states for which they can have significant influence. And Brad, Missouri is not among them. That's right. Important states like Virginia, Pennsylvania, states in which Democrats actually might have a chance to pick up some seats, those are on the Democrats' list. The Democrats are going to invest time, resources, some of their best people in those states. Missouri didn't even make the cut. What should Missouri Democrats feel about this, Brad?
I don't know. I mean, with the Democrats, how do the Democrats feel about it? Well, they're sort of second-class citizens now, aren't they?
I think so. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, Brad, but I see both sides of this argument. So if I'm a Missouri Democrat and I've been toiling away, whether in an urban area or a suburban area, or God forbid, I'm a Democrat in a rural area, I say, hey, Democrats, we can't do anything here unless you give us some resources, whether they're money, whether it's a little bit of money, whether it's staff once in a while, whether it's training. Like, you guys are offering us no support. You're leaving us out here to just die on the vine. And on the other hand, if I'm National Democrats, I look at Missouri Democrats. Missouri Democrats spent the entire 2024 cycle saying they were going to pick up in the House between 3 and 7 seats, maybe even more. They made all these extravagant promises about how, because Amendment 3 was on the ballot, Democrats were going to turn out in droves and they were going to flip so many seats. And it just didn't happen. So if I'm National Democrats, I say, look, you guys keep talking, and you had the wind behind your back this year with Amendment 3, and you picked up 0.0 seats. We're not giving you any money. Get your stuff together and then come to us again in 2 years. I see both sides of it.
You know, I think that you and I talked about it the other day, or maybe yesterday and last week, this crazy mockery of the Democratic National Committee, you know, putting their number 1 and number 2, David Hogg's the number 2 person. I mean, they don't learn their lessons, do they? I mean, see, what's so interesting about this is, you look at, if you've seen this, I'll mention this. Have you seen this comedy clip that is on Comedy Central? What's his name? Jon Stewart, when he's doing the Chuck Schumer video. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen the beer and the avocado video?
No, I haven't seen it at all.
Oh my God, it is so funny. And what's interesting about it is Jon Stewart, they're making fun of the fact that the Democrats, whenever they want to trot out somebody to complain about, they trot out Chuck Schumer, who is like Mr. Unlikable, you know? And
yeah.
And the point is that they don't get it. They don't get, and Stewart, let me see if I can find the audio and play it. It's pretty funny. I think he might drop the F-bomb in there, so I have to watch it. But it's pretty funny because, remember, Jon Stewart is, I think everybody would consider him a very reliable Democrat. Wouldn't you consider him to be a person for the Democrats?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's making fun of the Democrats because of the fact that they just don't. Essentially, the point of the video is they send out Chuck Schumer, and the Republicans have Donald Trump, who is Mr. Television, who is Mr. Media, who is Mr.
Personality. He's Mr. Personality.
Right. And why would you send out? That would be like saying, hey, back in the day, we got to compete with Johnny Carson. Who are we going to get? Let's get Walter Cronkite. It wouldn't work.
Somebody dry and boring.
Right. It wouldn't work. Okay, we have to take a break. My read on KWMU next. And you know what? This is part of the reason. You know, after I told you that Jason Rosenbaum doesn't like me anymore, I'm going to be on his dartboard when I get done with this. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
You're laughing already. Okay, this is the BJ Show.